All right, folks, this is the machine learning security course. But what I usually do at my college, and I think I'll do it here too, is I spend the first 10 minutes just talking about news, and that gives time for everybody to show up. So I gather news on my homepage, which is samsclass.info. There's a news link. And so here's a few news articles that I thought were interesting. So the EU, which is doing a lot to regulate the internet, is also now trying to regulate AI. And the United States is not doing much at all in this area, but the European Union is doing quite a lot. So we'll see how this works out. One thing that's kind of funny is they just accepted a placeholder of 10 to the 25 flops, floating point operations, is the limit to how much training something would have to qualify for the higher level of regulation. And I think that was just a placeholder put there by technical consultants long ago in an early version of this. And I think that's an impossibly large number, so nobody will fall under it. And this is, I think, playing with the fact that regulators don't understand numbers. But anyway, they are discussing banning facial recognition systems, which is something a lot of people are pretty nervous about. And one thing about this is it would require more transparency. So hopefully you'll know more about what these AIs are doing. So they want them to draw up documentation, have summary about training content, which is a big issue. There's a lot of lawsuits underway to punish AIs for having training on proprietary data with violating copyright. And there are big lawsuits about that. There are pretty strong reasons to claim it's fair use, but there's going to be quite a lot of court battles about that, and that's really almost an existential threat to the use of AI in business, and that's why Microsoft has promised to indemnify their customers. If you use Microsoft's AI products, their Copilot, they promise to protect you if you get sued over copyright infringement. Since everybody trains their stuff on other people's data without permission, it would really hinder the business if that practice was determined not to be legal. Anyway, and they plan to have testing, security tests for AIs, model evaluations, adversarial training, and so on, and issues of energy efficiency. So, it's fairly reasonable sounding stuff. The devil's always in the details. We'll see if this actually does any good or if it turns out to be just a hindrance or a waste of time. Let's see if there's any way to dig down. Right. Well, I'll forget that one. I switch to a different browser. Often everything is blocked by paywalls and ads and stuff. Anyway, so there's a 5GUL is yet another security vulnerability. This is flaws in the firmware implementation of 5G network modems, and apparently affects quite a lot of them. And I think it's the usual stuff, like buffer overflows and such. They can deceive, they can take over the router, and then they can cause your 5G enabled device to connect. See, I forget the details of how this one works. They're invalid resource allocation, a downgrade 5G. All right. Anyway, they say not quite sure what this lets you do. I think it lets you make a man-in-the-middle attack or something. I'm going to skip over. I don't remember the details of that one. This one, however, made a huge splash. OpenAI and their very close partner Microsoft are far away the leaders in public AI models that people can use. They're far more powerful than their competitors. All the other big tech companies seem to be left in the dirt, including Google. So Google finally rushed out their Gemini product and had a big video splash that made it look like this thing is magic. Like it can watch a video of a human making hand gestures and figure out that they're playing rock, paper, scissors. It can understand things on the fly. And it blew everyone's socks off, saying this is the greatest product ever. And then it turns out it was totally faked. In fact, it didn't understand the video at all. They took still pictures. It didn't even understand the still pictures, so a human wrote text descriptions of the still pictures, which it responded to, and they made it look in the video like it was understanding the multimodal input. So it just seems outrageous, and something I certainly would not expect from Google. First, you wouldn't expect Google to be so far technically behind that they can't compete with modern models, and you certainly wouldn't expect them to go to this old trick of faking an AI demo. This goes all the way back in the 1800s, there was a chess-playing robot that was really a human hiding somewhere playing chess, and there was a self-driving car where they faked the video by having it go downhill but turn the camera so it looked like it was going uphill. And there's just no end to these fake demos. And I don't know how Google thought they were going to get away with this. Technically, they had a blog post with details explaining how they did it, but they relied on the well-known fact, and I hear a ton of tech journalists and news saying, the video is great, this is the greatest product ever, not bothering to read the details and find out that it was all fake, and all the things that made it look so great weren't really true. So it's really cutthroat competition for AI and really stupid things going on as the companies are all very embarrassed compared to OpenAI. So 23andMe got hacked months ago, and they tried to claim it only affected a small number of customers, but the problem is once you upload your DNA, there's a product called Find Your Genetic Relatives that will let you see other people's DNA that matches yours, and by using that, they were able to make really wide, more information about other people. So it turns out they lost 7 million users' personal information. And this is extremely concerning, as you know, the global rise of fascism is, and things like anti-Semitism are coming up, and Islamophobia. I think it is very reasonable for people to say, I am afraid that I will be targeted based on my genes and my ancestry, and it is really not okay for that to be public information. So that's pretty bad. And this is something I think that could happen to almost anybody. So San Francisco has a sprawling public health department, and they had a website, and their website connected to other domains, and one of those domains expired, and they didn't renew it. So a malicious actor bought the domain and put up fake pages, and their other pages had old links to that domain, which was no longer theirs. So now they had, the health department now had websites that will sell, like Viagra and fake urine to pass blood tests, and on medical products they did not intend to sell, which now appear to be inside their website. So this is a form of typo squatting that I think could affect a lot of people. And this I was very interested to find. I did my PhD thesis by observing molecular tunneling for the first time many decades ago, and now they have entangled molecules. Entanglement normally happens between single particles like photons or electrons, but now they have entangled molecules, although at a very low temperature. So that may prove useful for quantum computing, but it certainly is a advance in fundamental physics and fundamental quantum mechanics, and a sort of landmark moment. Ransomware is a huge problem. It's growing fast. It's moving a whole lot of money into the hands of unskilled, irresponsible threat actors. But I'd never had a lot of this. In the UK, which has very high inflation compared to the US, they're claiming ransomware is so bad that it is driving inflation by apparently contributing significantly to the amount of money stolen in the economy. That seems to me hard to believe, that it could be so large that it's actually a significant amount of the nation's economy. But anyway, certainly ransomware is a big and growing problem. And there really seems to be no solution. Experts in ransomware I've interviewed on podcasts have said that everybody gets hit by ransomware, everybody is vulnerable, there's no product you can buy or install that will really make you safe. And I think CISA recently said that their only solution is to, it was Kevin Beaumont, a security expert, said CISA has begun talking about governments making a pact to never pay a ransom. And Kevin Beaumont, a prominent security researcher, has said we're going to have governments pass a law outlawing even private individuals and companies paying the ransom. It's the only way we're going to stop this. And I don't think there's going to be any appetite for that law anytime soon, but that would be the way to starve the ransomware operators. If you could actually enforce such a law, I'm pretty skeptical about that. And we're about to do this in the projects. If you have a AI chatbot that takes text and then calculates text to reply to you with, there are rules to try to prevent it from, say, telling you how to make poison or a bomb or saying things that are racist or offensive. And those rules, as we will see, are actually very weakly enforced. It is very easy to trick those things into doing the things they're not supposed to do, violating their security boundaries. And it turns out humans can get pretty good at this. It's actually very close to social engineering, the same kind of tricks you would use to trick a human into doing the wrong thing, more or less. And now they're using an AI to attack the other AIs, and that's working quite well. So an AI can generate text that tricks the other AIs into violating their security rules. So this is the battle we all kind of expected when AI began to come out, where we'd have AI attackers and AI defenders going against each other. So that's all the news I wanted to talk about this morning.